Typography is basically the visual representation of our words written down or typed or somehow communicated to us using letters. This is where I used to work. I live and work in squalor. Yes, it's true. I was a uni student and I basically had this tiny flat and I would just obsess with type and I'd draw all these pictures and take pictures of type on the street. And so I started a blog. I needed to express all of this obsession somewhere, so the internet was a suitable outlet. For the Love of Type was the name of the blog, and I started writing under the pseudonym Mrs. Eves. So I started this blog. I'd sit in my apartment, I'd make letters out of food, I'd make letters out of dust, I'd make letters out of flower stems, pretty much anything you could think of. I mean, it seems ridiculous, it is ridiculous. That started to pop up on the internet, so I started to get a bit of traffic to my little student blog. But it all kind of came together. If there's such a thing as a big break in the typography world, this is where it happened for me. I wrote over my whole entire body in letters for a second year graphics project. It wasn't like I was just sitting at home and did it, if that's what you're thinking. There was actually a purpose to this. It was an anti-graffiti campaign, and so I did a teaser project where I covered my whole entire body in type and walked down the street. So what happened was I put this on YouTube so my tutor could mark it. It was like the beginning of, this was 5 years ago. So one, typography on the internet was just kind of burgeoning and becoming popular. Two, the concept of a viral video was just kind of taking off. So I popped this on YouTube. It got a lot of kind of traffic. And a couple of weeks afterwards, I get this email from an unknown guy in Germany called Adam. And he's like, "Hi, Gemma, you don't know me, but I kind of follow your blog. And I just thought I would bring this to your attention. It's Font Blog, which is the blog of Font Shop in Germany. And Jürgen Siebert, who's the marketing manager, writes articles on there. And he's written this article about your blog called Amateur Designer and hat Sex mit Buchstaben, which translates to Amateur Designer has sex with letters. Yes, it does. Which was pretty critical of my blog, saying who's this anonymous Mrs. Eves? Where is she from? Why is she kind of throwing away the rules of typography? And kind of was all a bit derivative, and she just copies Stefan Sagmeister, da. Very angry at me for being a student in Australia, writing all over myself in type. Anyway, so what happened was all of the people who read the blog kind of saw this article and thought, well, you know what? Who cares if she's a student and kind of experimenting? It's not that bad, and so on and so forth. So a couple of months after that, I get a private message from Jürgen Siebert on Facebook. And it's like, "Hello, Gemma. You don't know me, but I wrote this article, da. I've realised that perhaps I was wrong in what I was saying, and people seem to think that what you're doing is interesting. So would you like to come to Germany? We'll fly you over to Berlin, and you can speak at Typo Berlin, which is one of the biggest design conferences in Germany, and we want you to talk about Australian typography." Right? I thought it was a hoax, and it was real. And so they flew me over to Germany. I was 21. I recreated the Right Here, Right Now project, but with a film crew in the various locations of Germany, of Berlin. And then I spoke at a conference. There's probably about the same number of people as there are here today. There was a German translator, and it was all extremely overwhelming as a excited design student. So I got some real jobs in big companies outside of my little, my messy squalor studio. I worked at Animal Logic as an intern, and then for a year I worked at Fuel VFX. So this was more in kind of art direction and kind of design for motion graphics. But it was a lot more of a broader, overlooking aspects of design. So I'd do things from coming up with the original idea to the storyboards, and then work with a team of people to bring the ideas to life. So one of the highlights was at Animal Logic, where I got to direct a title sequence for Play School. The next one, which was when I was working at Fuel VFX, and it was a really neat brief that came in for the Taronga Zoo. They basically wanted to change the idea of the zoo from being a zoo to more of a conservation centre. So it's not about just, keeping these animals to look at, but more about, conserving their life for the future. And so it was a really small budget and a really short deadline, which, to be quite honest with you, I like that situation, because what it means is that you don't have much time and they don't have much money, so you get all the creative control. So one last thing, this is my favourite thing. This isn't a project, I don't get paid for it, but this is what it's about. Every time I catch a plane, this started when I went to Antarctica in December, I was on the plane and I was just sitting there, I'm like, it's a flight, I'm bored. Spew bag, I'm going to draw on the spew bag. So I drew this. Fully sick. This combines all of my loves: hand lettering, puns, flying. Anyway, so I put this on Facebook and I get this call from my mum when I land. She's like, "Gemma, are you okay?" I'm like, what do you mean, Mum? She's like, I just got a call from your father. I'm like, yeah. So he said he saw something you put on Facebook. You're feeling really ill or something. I'm like, fully sick. It's like a thing that people say. It's like, cool. So, I see. I see. Dad was concerned. Okay, but then now, ever since that time, I feel obliged to do it. So there was Pretty Fly. There was Chuck Chuck Boom. Queasy Lover, that was some turbulence there. Phil Collins, And then, so the last one was like 5 days ago when I flew to Melbourne. I'm like, fuck, I just literally have no more spew-based aeroplane puns. Like, I'm done. I'm through, The whole spew lettering industry is over. And then, Uptown Hall! Yes. Wow. So, just design in the real world. Like, design for real people. Don't design for the design world. Like, don't talk to the design world. Because there was a time when I became obsessed with typography at the beginning where it's really easy, to make in-type jokes, you're not my type, Kern, da-da-da-da. Yeah, cool. Typography people get that. But what about everyone else, which is like the majority of the world who think you're a topographer, right? Like, talk to them, make stuff for them, make it real, make it about your life, make it about the people who you love's lives, that's what it's about. Thank you for letting me go over time.